Please, all of you who submitted questions and sent to me, you have to be seated here for Swamiji to answer. If you're not here, the question will not be answered. Sorry. Should I go ahead, Swamiji?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, Meena ji sent me this question. I hope she's here.
Is she there?
I...
She has to stand up. She left. So next question.
Okay. Shri... Huh? Meena? Oh, you sent... Yeah. You sent it, right?
Amma, give the mic to her. Let her ask the question.
So she sent me here. It's actually just a gratitude, Swamiji. Thank you, she said. I'm just going to read what she said. Thank you for coming and giving us such wonderful guidance on Upadesa Sara. You have so systematically guided us from the basics and are taking us to realize the ultimate goal of our lives. At this point, only gratitude and no questions.
Okay.
So, Srinivas Iyer, you want to ask your question or you want me to just read it off? Please. Thanks for organizing. And so I have a question for Swamiji. What is the role of mercy, grace, karuna of the Lord for one to make spiritual progress?
See, Bhagwan's grace is always there. It is like the magnetic field of the magnet. It is always there. If the iron piece is not getting attracted, it is because there is rust in iron. So what should the iron piece do? It should clean itself. It need not create grace. It need not create the magnetic field. It is already there. So Bhagwan's grace is like sunlight. It is already there. But if my room is dark, it is because I have not opened the windows and doors. Just open it. Sunlight is already there. It will enter. So I am not progressing not because there is no grace. I am not progressing because effort from my side is not there. Yes.
So, next question is from Suresh Swamiji.
Ah.
On the first day, Swamiji stated that with finite equipment, how can we ever hope to reach infinite joy in the material world? However, isn't it with the same finite equipment of the body, mind, and intellect that we are hoping to transcend to the infinite?
Yes.
Can Swamiji elaborate on how that same finite equipment can be used to look upward to reach the infinite joy?
Yes. So the question is, spiritual effort is also finite. Then how is it that we are getting infinite result? Very true. Spiritual effort is finite, we are getting infinite result, not because effort is infinite, it is because the nature of the truth is infinite. Are you able to understand? We are getting infinite result not because of our infinite effort. We are getting infinite result because the nature of the truth is infinite. So when it is said karma kim param, there the criticism is not against spiritual karma, it is worldly karma. In worldly sense, finite action will give only finite result. In spiritual sense, finite action can give infinite result because the nature of the reality is infinite. Clear? Yes.
Next question. At the peak of meditation...
Whose question?
Is anyone remember this? Okay, please stand up there. At the peak of meditation, what does the thoughtless mind look like? Renukanand. Okay.
Did it get answered during this session? It got answered. Okay.
So Archana's question, Archana, you're here. Was Mirabai still an Ananya Bhakta even though she maintained duality?
She maintained duality, but she is Ananya Bhakta. See, finally what happens is, the Upasya merges with the Upasaka. The final culmination is always this. What you are meditating upon. See, what happens is, the meditator dissolves. In Bhakti, what is the nature? Oh Lord, I am nothing, you are everything. If I am nothing and he is everything, what remains? What remains? In the language of knowledge, we say self remain. In the language of devotion, we say God remains. Both are one and the same.
Ganesh has a question, Swamiji. When we meditate on ourselves as the Supreme, how do we go about it? How can we think of ourselves and the Supreme as one?
Did it answer in this session? Yes.
Sharmila had a question. I don't know if she still has it. You have it. The one you asked about any tips for daily routine in order for us to advance in the spiritual path, basically.
Daily routine, how it should be. There should be some time you have to spend with God. How you do it, it's up to you. It can be puja, it can be chanting, or it can be just talking to God. Some time where you are spending a personal time with God, quality time with God, not with the mobile phone next to you and all that. No. Exclusively with God. Every day you must do. If possible, morning and evening. Keep all the other relationships out. See, any relationship grows only when you spend quality time. Any relationship, whether it is husband, wife, mother, child, quality time has to be given. And it should be regularly, there should be consistency. Ananyacheta satatam yomam smarati nityashaha tasyaham sulabhav partha nityayuktasya yoginah. Ananyacheta satatam. Ananyacheta satatam yomam smarati nityashaha. Every day, nityashaha, and satatam, every time. The one who thinks of me, remembers me, I am very easy. So therefore, morning and evening, there should be an exclusive time for communion with God. While working also, if possible, keep on doing the chanting of God. Like for example, while driving, you can chant the name. There are very many times when you have nothing to do. Fill those empty gaps with God remembrance. If you can do that. See, the more you are serious about this relationship, the more you will find that God is serious about you. The more you forget Him, you will experience as though He has forgotten you. That's how you He has not forgotten you, but you will experience that way. That He is indifferent to you. The more you take this relationship seriously, the more, it's something like, mirror image. The more you look away from mirror, it appears that the reflection is also looking away. The moment you look into the eyes, you find that it is exactly here also. To the extent you are serious about God, you will find serious response coming from there also. And as I told you, don't compromise with higher values. He loves it very much because he is an embodiment of dharma, righteousness. So whichever creates guilt, don't do it. He will not like it. So this simple instruction, if you follow, you start feeling His presence very soon. Right.
One question from Vaishnavi. Yeah. Any tips on helping in guiding those around us who may not follow Sanatana Dharma with physical or mental illness? And how does one maintain healthy detachment when others are suffering around us?
First, let us take the second question. How to maintain healthy detachment when others are suffering, right? You see, never forget this truth that every one of us is intensely being taken care by the Lord. So if there is somebody suffering, that suffering is given to that person for that person's good. And it's a measured dose of suffering. There are no accidents in this world. This world is an ICU. You know what is ICU? Intensive care unit. Everyone is intensely being taken care. How? As though we are the only child of the Lord. That is how He is taking care of each and every one of us. Right? So therefore, suffering is given by the Lord with a purpose. What is the benefit of suffering? You see, suffering is a great blessing in disguise. When we suffer, we become humble. When we suffer, we become serious about life. When we suffer, there is God fear also. That's very important. I will not dare to do something wrong. When I suffer, I become sensitive. When I suffer, mind becomes pure. It is only a person who has suffered, only such a person can feel compassionate about others when they suffer. So therefore, suffering, don't think that it is bad. It carries tremendous amount of virtues in it. So Bhagavan will give us that suffering, only that much which we can handle, holding on to Him. So therefore, suffering is an unavoidable entity in life. So therefore, when somebody is suffering, understand, see the hidden hand of God there. Whatever God is doing, He cannot do something wrong. He is our well-wisher. He loves us infinitely, unconditionally. Will you give suffering to your child unnecessarily? But there are times when the fellow deserves some beating, isn't it? You give beating also. As in Bible it said, I am cruel only to be kind. You know, there is a statement in Bible. I am cruel only to be kind. So never forget this bigger picture. So when somebody is suffering, you do whatever you can. But a healthy detachment should be there. Otherwise what will happen? Other fellow is suffering and you also become so emotional and you also start suffering. No, that is not allowed. You remain firm. Console others. But understand that everything has its place in the world. Answered? Okay. What is the first question?
Any tips on helping and guiding those around us who may not follow the Sanatana Dharma because due to physical or mental illness?
You can pray for them. Any tips for guiding those who don't follow Sanatana Dharma, don't believe in God also? What actually is your question? I'm going to give the mic to her.
Essentially, I'm asking Hari Om Swamiji. I work in the medical field, and
Miracle field.
Medical.
Okay. Okay.
And I see lots of patients with neurological conditions, and
Yes.
oftentimes they come in with lots of suffering, and we know what their trajectory is going to be. Their body is affected, mind is affected,
Yes.
intellect is affected, and oftentimes my medical science can't do enough for the patient, and so
Yes.
all I can do is validate their feelings. But I'm wondering, from a Vedantic standpoint, is there anything else that I can do to help guide them? Oftentimes I talk about body-mind connection and things like that, but is there other things that I can also guide them?
Tell them to chant the name of the Lord. But you are saying that do they believe in God? If they believe
Some
in
of
God,
them do.
then the best way is to turn their attention to God. If they believe in God, ask them to chant the name of the Lord. And then tell something good about God. Whatever is happening, it's all, tell that Bhagavan is our father and mother. At present, you may not understand why the suffering is there. See, depending upon person to person. Some people are not even able in a state of mind to understand even that. Then you just, pray for them. See, one thing, your job is only one, to keep the mind peaceful. If you are disturbed seeing their suffering, then you alone have to be blamed. To the extent we come to know the intelligent functioning of the Lord, how beautifully He is taking care of this world, to that extent you will not be disturbed by any of these things. Because you know that if such things are happening, it is perfect in its place and Bhagavan can never be wrong. This firm faith should be there. Somewhere we think that, oh, this shouldn't have happened. That this shouldn't have happened means what? God has made a mistake. That is why you are disturbed. The moment you make this conclusion that God has made a mistake, your mind will be disturbed. So number one, you remain strong. Unless you are strong, you cannot give strength to anyone. You remain peaceful, cheerful, happy. That your cheerfulness itself starts giving strength to people, There is a famous quote of Gurudev. There is nothing that can happen in life which deserve your tears. What did I say? There is nothing that can ever happen in your life which deserve your tears. Means what? Everything is perfect. We must have that maturity to understand that everything is perfect. Na anushocanti panditaha. Bhagavad Gita starts with this. The wise people don't grieve. So cheerfulness, happiness, peace, this is a sign of wisdom. So when more and more you practice all this spirituality, you find that you are bubbling with joy. And when you are so joyful, all the patients, automatically that energy gets passed. But suppose you are also crying and weeping along with them, then it's literally pushing them into a greater pit. So the only thing you need to do is you be strong. Only then you can give strength to others. Right? Okay.
So that's all I have as questions sent to me. If anyone have any other questions?
Hari Om, Swamiji. So my question is, when we have sufferings in life, normally there are two approaches. One approach is what we discussed today, detachment through self-inquiry and, japa and so on. The other approach I've heard about in the past is something in the lines of, turning yourself into a yantra, which means that, you transform your difficulties or sufferings into a positive emotion, like some kind of art form, singing or painting or, whatever is that art.
The technique of distraction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just wanted to get to that.
Distract the mind from the problem. Mm-hmm. See, it may give a temporary solution. Mm-hmm. We are discussing about permanent solution. Convert every calamity into an opportunity to love God. Feel His blessings, feel His presence, feel His guidance. You may distract your mind to music, art, etc. Fine. But again the mind will think, see, at the back of the mind always the problem is there. There is that, they say ostrich or something, some bird in the desert. When some fox or etc. comes, it just buries its head into the sand and thinks that the problem is solved. It is not solved. Whereas here you are addressing the problem. So which is better? So sufferings you can convert it into a wonderful means to connect to God. You will always find that when you are suffering, you feel His presence very close. When the child is suffering, mother is always close, isn't it? In the same way, a person who is suffering, he is generally humble. In that suffering, you can't keep your ego. And in that suffering moment, the ego is at a lowest level, and therefore God is very, very near. You can very easily connect to Him. So which is the best way? They are all inferior ways. I don't deny it, but they are inferior. The best way is connect to God. He will give you strength. He will give you peace. You know, when Taponji Maharaj was dying, he was all skin bone. You know Taponji Maharaj? Guru of Swami Chinmayananda. He never came down from the Himalayas. So the final stage, he was all skeleton. There is a photo somewhere there. So Gurudev said, Swamiji, why don't you come with me? I have wonderful doctors, medical colleges are there. I have my connections, I can give you the best treatment. You know what Taponji Maharaj said? Chinmaya, don't people die in Delhi? Why should I extend my stay in this cage of flesh and bones? Whereas on the other side, poor Lord is waiting. He has been waiting for almost 70 years with outstretched arms. Why should I extend my stay? You see the state of mind? The strength of a devotee is unimaginable. Jesus Christ on the cross. People are killing him alive. And what did he say? Oh Lord, please forgive them. You understand? Can you imagine the kind of peace that person is experiencing? Strength he is experiencing. It is unmatched. So if you want the best solution, turn to your Creator, turn to God. He will empower you in handling any situation. I heard a very beautiful story. It's an incident. There was one monk who was, some people who hated him. He was tied to one wooden thing, and on the grill where you roast things. So he was tied to these 2 bamboo poles and he was roasted. He was tied there. So first he was lying at the back. Then he turned to them and said, this side is properly roasted. Now you can turn. Can you imagine that state of the mind? In that hot furnace, he said, this side is, like dosa and all you do. This side is properly cooked. No, you can just flip it. This is the strength. You understand? Machitta sarvadurgani mat prasadat tarishyasi. The one who has fixed his mind upon me, by my grace, he shall overcome all difficulties. That is a promise of the Lord. Which fool will choose any other path other than this golden path, royal path? Did I answer?
Yes. Okay. One more question. How can we prove that the idam vritti is not part of the mind? That
It is a part of the mind.
Oh, it is.
Idam vritti. Vritti means thoughts. Thoughts means mind. Vrittayah manah. Right. Archana Amma. Okay.
So she said, when real alone shines forth, there has to be no witness, right?
Correct. The term witnessing goes away. So witnessing is a relative term. The moment we say witness, there is something to be witnessed. The moment witnessed goes away, the term witness, how does it matter? It's a technical, clarification. Yes, sir.
Ariyam Swamiji. So when the aham thought, vritti, disappears, all remains is the consciousness.
Yes.
But how do I know it is consciousness? Because it could be the play of the mind as well, right?
Do you know when you wake up from the dream?
Yeah.
How do you know? It may be a play of mind. You know it. Because the mind is no more there. Manasam tu kim margane krite naiva manasam. Mind is gone. How can it be a play of mind? Just like you are very clear about waking up from the dream. You are very clear that the dream world is an illusion. You are very clear that I alone existed and there was nothing other than me. How clear you are, to that extent, this self-knowledge also becomes clear.
Thank you so much.
Right.
Anyone else have any question? Oh.
Hari Om Swamiji. My question is, while raising young kids in this world, and of course in this country, what is your advice on how we can, kind of condensing what we learned from the Upadesa Sara, how can we raise them? What is your advice on raising them on a daily basis, and how we can, let them know more about this?
Do you bring your child to the Bali Vihar?
Yeah.
Okay. So that is a very good initiative. Expose our children to this kind of knowledge. It is not available in schools or colleges. And number two, you yourself should become a role model for your child. Whatever you have learned, you live it. The child should have a role model. So here is my mother. In spite of all disturbances, difficulties, calamities, ups and downs, here is my mother who is ever cheerful, beautifully serving everyone. Never yelling, never shouting, never getting disturbed, never losing balance. When the child sees this role model in front, child is transformed. So who has to do? Let us try to change ourselves.
Only mother, Swamiji?
At least mother.
That's the
See?
other case is useless. That's why Swamiji is focusing on one.
No, I'll tell you one more thing. The moment you start living this, that husband will be jealous of your peace. He'll be at your feet. I'm not joking. Any person who is radiating peace, that person, you cannot ignore that person in your life. Because one thing which is a very, very, very rare thing to see is peace. Everybody is disturbed. It's an amazing attraction of a person who is very peaceful. You cannot remain unaffected. So therefore, everything starts from myself. Let me live whatever I have understood. And slowly you will find that your world around starts changing. This is the only way. Right.
Hari Om Swamiji. So the witness is, in the Vedantic sense, is the witness not still the reflected consciousness in the mind? In that sense, still the mind.
True. At least focus on the reflected consciousness. That's what we are saying. And finally, this reflection, you will come to know that there is the reflection medium disappears. See, mind disappearing means what? The reflecting medium disappears. Then what remains? Only the original consciousness remains. Got it? Go on following the reflected consciousness. When the mind disappears, what remains is not reflected consciousness, because there is nothing to reflect now. What remains is only consciousness.
Hari Om Swamiji. We all have at least one life-changing incident that must have happened to us. And during those times, our bhakti is at a level like no other time.
Yes.
And we attach to Bhagavan. And when we come out of that, we have nothing but pure gratitude for him and total belief in him. Yet, coming out of a time like that on a daily living basis, why can't we attach ourselves, to the same extent like we do when we have the most extenuating circumstances on a daily basis?
Why are we not able to do? That is why now and then Bhagavan gives. He knows it. The fellow has forgotten me. Time for another dose of calamity. It's true. That is why, Kunti Mata's prayer. Vipadas santuna shashvat tatra tatra jagadguru bhavato darshanam yatsya Apunarbhava darshanam. Bhagwan vipada santu na shashwat. Tatra tatra. Vipat, calamity. Bhagwan again and again give calamity because I keep forgetting you. Because it's only during calamity that sincerely the prayer comes from the depth of the heart. And that's the time when I actually see you, experience you. So keep giving calamity. Who is telling this? Kunti Mata. She herself is a great devotee. If she is praying this way, then what to talk of us? So don't worry, whether you ask or not, he will keep giving you.
Hari Om Swamiji. You just talked to us about, how to detaching, when suffering, right? The loved one around you. But there are some instances where there is a conflict happening between duties and responsibilities. Okay, where take an instance where like you are required to care for somebody, but also you need to stand up for righteousness. So if they are not going together, there is a conflict. So then how one can find clarity?
You have to take care of your near and dear ones, and you have to walk the path of righteousness also. Simultaneously. It is not this or that. It is both. Can you give an example where there is a conflict? Then I can help you.
So you are being asked to take care of somebody. You have a responsibility. You have duty to take care. But also you see, like that person is suffering and he is causing suffering to the people around. So then, for me as I have a duty to support, but also I have, responsibility to, stand up against righteousness. Like, there is a conflict.
See, whenever there is a conflict between Vyashti and Samashti, you should always choose a Samashti. For example, suppose there is a judge and his own son is there as a criminal, and the punishment to be given is a hanging. What should he do? His son is standing there. He has done all kinds of crime. And as a judge, he has to punish him. Should he say, to err is human, to forgive is divine? Wrong. As a judge, so I have two roles. One role, a family role. The other role as a society. So whenever there is a role conflict, always I should choose that role which is for the welfare of all. The bigger role should always be taken. My near and dear one, just because he is my near and doesn't mean that he has the right to create disturbance in society. No, you have to discipline that person. At the same time, taking care of that person. What is good for the totality you must do. For example, suppose there is a wound in the hand and it is spreading. You try all the ways to heal the wound. But the wound is not healing. So what should I do? When this hand becomes a threat to the body, cut it off. What is good for the totality, that alone is righteous. Clear? Yes.
Swamiji, one more question. I'm just trying to think about, how do I understand now rasa in terms of the karma yoga we've talked about. So,
Rasa?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard in some other talks that rasa is a form of God, right? So
It's a form of God.
is God it himself?
I have never used the term rasa.
No, different. So I'm just trying to understand.
Rasa is a form of God.
Rasa is God.
See, rasa
himself.
has so many meanings in Sanskrit. Rasa means taste. The curry also is called rasam. With rice you eat. Nava rasas, different emotions are called rasam. What is the meaning in that context? You will have to explain to me to that.
So, as a karma yogi, let's say if there is a painter, so this person who is painting and he or she is painting, considering that this is an act in devotion of God gets some rasa, or there is a feeling of anugrah.
Are you talking of bhakti rasa?
In a way, bhakti
That
rasa.
emotion of devotion is also called as bhakti rasa. Do you
Yes.
mean to say that? Yes. Huh.
So now when we are talking about bhakti rasa, for instance, and we talked about the different steps, we said, japa and meditation and so on.
Yes.
But we didn't talk much about the role of that devotion or that role of the anugrah. But
We
I'm sure.
did talk.
Okay, maybe I missed.
Okay, once again I'll let you. Whenever you are walking the righteous path, there is a joy. That spiritual joy is called rasa. Whenever you walk the wrong path, there is a guilt. It is just the opposite of that rasa. Yes or no? The guilt, the disturbance of the mind, it is just the opposite. Whenever you are doing the right thing, there is a joy. There's a spiritual joy. That spiritual joy is called rasa. You have to listen to that voice. That is coming directly from God. There's a guidance from God saying that, yes, I want you to walk this path. Yes, very good, sabash. Congrats. That's the meaning. So it is this inner spiritual joy which inspires us to walk the path of righteousness in spite of all external troubles and tribulations. It is this rasa, to increase this rasa only, the whole spiritual thing is done. I want that joy, I want that peace. And as I am walking this joy is increasing. That becomes an inspiration to put forth more and more effort in this path. Everything is nothing but the play of rasa only. What else? Ananda rasa it is called.
Just wanted to understand that better.
How do I know that I am spiritually growing? This rasa increases. Yes.
Hari Om Swamiji.
Ah.
I have a question. Like God, you mentioned that God intensively takes care of us individually, right? Is that because of the attachment? Does He have attachment towards us? Is that why He intensively takes care of us?
See, whom do you love the most?
People we are attached to.
No, you love yourself. Yesterday you did not come, that means.
I did not, yes. Absent yesterday, yes.
Yes. So you love yourself the most. God loves you because your essence is none other than He. There is no difference. Actually, you think you exist. Actually, you don't exist. What exists is He. You have misunderstood His existence as your existence. Just like dreamer has misunderstood waker's existence as his existence. Actually, dreamer doesn't exist. What exists is only the waker. Correct? You think you exist. You don't even exist. What exists is He.
The reason I ask that question is because we tend to take care of our family because we have that intensive attachment towards them. So I was trying to see, is it the same feeling that God has towards us?
Yes. Just like you love your child, in the same way He loves you. Because you are His child. Just like you want your child to be obedient, disciplined, good-mannered, virtuous, in the same way He has an expectation to you. And the more and more you walk this path of goodness, righteousness, He becomes happy and He gives that joy to you. It's the same. In fact, the whole family drama is only to understand His love for you. What is family drama? First, you become a child, you receive the love from father and mother. Then you become a parent and then you start giving love to your child. Correct? This is family drama. Why are we made to go through this drama? To know what love is. Because unless you know what is love, you will never be able to understand His love. His nature is love. Infinite love, unconditional love, perfect love. So first you are made to go through the imperfect worldly love so that you will appreciate His perfect love.
Yeah, when there are wars going on, for example, and people are killing each other, it's very difficult to have that sense of calmness and whatever the other word that you used, like happiness, and expect that it is all being done for good, right?
Everything has its place, everything is perfect. You see, when do you love food the most? When you are absolutely hungry. Yes or no? It's a law of life. When you go to one extreme, you start valuing the other. When you are extremely disturbed, you start valuing what is peace. So therefore, war has its place. Only a person who knows what is disturbance will crave for peace. So it is necessary. Otherwise, if all the time you are peaceful, you may sometimes, as they say, familiarity is the mother of, what is that? Familiarity breeds contempt. It is very, very true. You look at these children who are highly pampered. They have no value for food. They will waste food, throw away food. Why? Because they don't know what is hunger. So therefore the law of cosmos is such people who disrespect these valuable treasures, they will have to go through. That is the law of cosmos. They are made to go through the other extreme.
But the person who is killing, is he going through the peace after they kill?
Okay, I'll tell you another law. See, the whole cosmos is functioning based on laws. If you are relishing somebody's suffering, a time will come when you will be put in his shoes. You will suffer and somebody will create suffering for you, is a law. So if I am sensitive, if I am animalistic, gross, sensuous, extrovert, and thus I am giving suffering to others, it simply means that suffering I deserve. And in this suffering, my heart melts. I told you, it is a suffering which really uplifts a person, purifies a person. Just like gold is purified in furnace, in suffering, our hearts are purified. Therefore, suffering has its place.
Yeah. Thank you.
Right.
So one good news and one sad news. Good news that your exit from this auditorium will be delayed by 2 minutes. That's the bad news, sorry. The good news is that we will take a secret group photo today also. We didn't quite expect so many people to be here for the Q&A session. So we'll just request Swamiji to come here with Swamiji's permission.
Yes.
Swamiji will be seated here. All of you, please, if you can just maybe come towards the center and sit here. We'll take a group picture. Because what happens is usually people come on the last day only for the group photo. So this will be like a surprise for them as well.
If we can expedite it, Swamiji hasn't eaten his dinner, so please quickly.
Everyone has to go there. Swamiji will be seated here.